It is. Okay, so once you have your cardinal drawn on the white paper, I went around and gave you scratch paper. You're going to put that on your scratch paper. We're going to review what we learned last year with our penguin paintings. It is the order of painting. So when we were looking at our penguin paintings, we had some hand gestures. We painted from here to there, from this to that, from this to that. Does anybody remember what they were? Go ahead. All right.
I think it's drawn with marker on the outside and then the penguin sail on the inside.
So when we are painting, the order in which you choose to paint, you start from furthest back and work your way forward. You get your largest areas and work your way down to the details. And if at all possible, you start at the top of your paper and work your way down. Since we're going to try to condense this project into just a few days, we're gonna do a little bit different. So our largest area on the cardinal, the furthest back, and even at the top of the paper is going to be our sky. So the first thing that we're going to paint is our sky. The second thing that we're going to paint would normally be the branches. But since we're gonna have a wet sky and the branches are all touching the sky, we're gonna skip the sky and we're gonna go to the body of the cardinal next. So we have tempera paint here. Tempera paint is basically a powder pigment that when you add water, it turns into paint. We also have tempera paint cakes in the back of the room, and that's when the tempera paint powder is pushed and squished into like a cake shape, and you've used those for the penguins. So you're going to need your water container, a medium to large paintbrush here, your scratch paper, and your paint. I'm going to begin by just wetting my brush. Wiping the extra water off the side, not flipping it or tapping it. You know that makes a mess. I'm going to start at the top of my painting, and I'm going to outline the area and then fill it in. Now, if you have too much water in my brush, do you see how it's kind of streaky? I don't want all those streaks, so we might have to do 2 coats of this. Outline my area. And fill it in. It is always, 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 always easier to pull your brush than it is to push your brush. You push your brush and you're making a mess of your brush strokes. However, if I am pulling, and you can pull in different directions. It's the process of which your shoulder is basically pulling backwards or retracting instead of pushing forward. Okay, so fill that in. Take a look when you're done with your blue. You're going to completely finish your blue. I'm seeing that mine is pretty streaky here. I'm going to probably want to put a second coat on. While that is drying, however, I'm going to clean out my brush, swirling it on the bottom, get that extra water out of the brush. And I can do the main body of my cardinal. This does not include the mask. The mask is something completely different, so you don't need to paint that. Since my blue is wet, I'm going to want to be particularly careful right here. Because you know that if I mix my blue and red together, I'm going to get purple, and then I'm going to have purple streaks in my red cardinal. Now, if your cardinal is looking more pink than it is red, which I'm not sure why.
It looks red to you. Yeah, it looks red. Yeah. And that's a bit get really I could. Oh wait, no.
Okay. Excuse me. Once I am done with my painting, or if I am out of time, brush goes in the water container. Water containers are going to go to the sink. Paints are going to go to counter 1. Your paintings are going to be carried on your scratch paper to the drying rack to dry for your next class, which would be a day from now. Questions? All right, sounds great.